Welcome back to the big picture. We're waiting for those microphones to get on. Joining us right now is Kevin Landers, veteran 10 TV reporter. Back in the day, guys, I interned with Kevin. You were the first person to take me out on the streets.
You're aging me.
No. Your storytelling's amazing, and you're here today to talk about a story that you have airing later today.
Right.
It's about the Pardon Project. Can you explain to us what this is?
Yeah. So Governor DeWine about 6 years ago created the Expedited Pardon Project. Mm-hmm. So he saw a need because the pardons were taking too long. Essentially, basically, I think 2 to 4 years was the average. So he saw a need for people to have a second chance at life by be able to remove these pardons for these felonies from their record in a shorter period of time. Mm-hmm. Now, we need to be clear that not everyone qualifies for an expedited pardon. You can't have committed a violent crime, rape or murder and things like that. But people who do qualify can have their application read by someone from a local law school, mm-hmm. And then they review it. They send it to the parole authority who reviews it. They do an interview with that person, and they decide yay or nay if it should go forward to the governor, and the governor has the ultimate decision. The parole board could say no. The governor could say yes. It's rare, but that could happen. But the governor has the ultimate power in who decides whether you will get the expedited pardon.
And why has this been so important to Governor DeWine during his term?
It's important because he knows that there's a workforce out there that needs people, and these people can go out and remove this felony, and they can become coaches, they could become real estate agents, they can become parole officers, and so this really allows people to have a better life. Now they have to go through certain hoops. They have to have held a job for 10 years and be crime-free after they've left prison. Yeah. So there are certain steps they have to prove before they can actually apply. What's great about the program is that once you apply, you get free legal advice to help you along the way.
To navigate, that's really important.
To help you get your application through. And so I wanted to show you this. When Governor DeWine leaves office, you can hold this up. This is a graphic.
We got it. There it is.
Oh, there you go. We got the graphic on
His term is over in December. So the question now is, who's going to take over
Who's going to take over? So when he leaves office, he will have pardoned more felons than any governor before him. Now, if you look at that graphic there, you see Governor Strickland. Now, he only served 4 years. Yeah. The others served longer, and you can see how many pardons Governor Strickler had. But DeWine will have 338 to date, and that gives you an idea of just how many people have applied for this. The problem is, and what you'll see in our story, is that many of the people that we spoke to had no idea this program even existed. They assumed that this felony would carry them for the rest of their lives. They wouldn't be able to move beyond the jobs that they have. They wouldn't be able to increase their salaries. And that's a problem. And the governor admits that they don't have a process in place to notify every felon who could qualify for this program. So once they meet that 10-year mark, you would think the state would say, hey, you may qualify, you may want to apply. That's not happening. Yeah. These people that we spoke to found out just by chance. They happened to be Googling, how do I get a felony off my record? They came across the program or someone told them about it. They had no idea. So they were shocked that this program existed. And then they found out, oh, I can get this removed in maybe 8-9 months, maybe a year, some 3 years. But basically it's 6 to 9 months they can get this felony removed.
So this leads me to Michelle. She's one of the 4 people that you spoke to in this story. Tell me a little bit about her story, and she's now trying to help spread the word about this program.
Yeah, so she has an interesting story. Listen, we all make mistakes in our lives, some worse than others, and in her story was basically she felt she was a victim of her own environment. You know, drugs were part of the environment. That's how people got by, and she made a horrible mistake. And she went to prison for it, did her time, came out, but she realized when she was in prison that she wanted to have a better life. So she began to apply herself, and now she's a real estate agent. She's also a notary. Wow. The other person we talked to was Mr. Justice, who had decided one day his life was spiraling out of control, and he decided he was going to do suicide by cop. He grabbed a police officer's gun.
Yeah. We actually have a soundbite from him that we should cue up and play. His story's amazing.
Yeah.
When I turned 18, and so my life was in a downward spiral. Decided one night to try to commit suicide by cop. I walked up to an officer while I was intoxicated and tried to take his gun.
So just to elaborate further on that, because we just obviously showed a quick bit of that, was he just drunk and made a mistake, or what was going on with that?
There were drugs involved. we didn't get a lot into
what happened.
You know, a lot of these people obviously want to move on with their lives. They want to show people that I've moved on. But yeah, he was in a bad spot in his life, and he made this poor decision and went to prison. And he realized when he was in prison that he wanted to help other people who may be in his same situation. Wow. So he's now a probation officer.
Wow. Full circle.
He went from prison inmate to probation officer. And that's just one example of how these people have moved on. Now, you were mentioning the question, what happens?
Yeah.
What happens when DeWine leaves office? And we asked Mike DeWine about this, and you'll see in our story, he's encouraging the next governor to carry this program on. And I did get a chance to talk to Vivek and Dr. Amy Acton, and here's what they say. Vivek's spokesperson said, Vivek is firmly committed to upholding the rule of law while also recognizing that once someone has completed their sentence, there should be a meaningful opportunity to restore their rights, contribute to society, and move forward. He's open to reviewing this program more closely and examining its impact once in office. And Dr. Amy Acton says, as governor, my number one priority is keeping Ohioans safe and ensuring our justice system works effectively and efficiently. I will conduct a thorough review of Governor DeWine's expedited pardon program to make sure it achieves those goals. Now, does that sound like 100% were they 100% committed? Are they on the fence? That's the question. Who is going to take over this program, if anyone?
Right.
And what happens to these other people who want to apply and there may not be an avenue for them to get an expedited pardon?
And I think it's interesting, and when you were interviewing Governor DeWine about this quickly, in a gaggle it seemed like, he said it's up to you guys, the media, to spread the message about this. Yeah. Which I thought was an interesting thing for him to say.
Yeah, I think...
What did you think about that response?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a default answer. Why aren't you doing a better job of making this available? Now, they've used social media. They've had some press conferences about it, but it hasn't received a lot of traction among those people who really need to hear it. And that's what we hope our story will do. We hope our story will provide some kind of notification for everyone who could possibly qualify to use this pardon before he leaves office. And who knows what's going to happen when he leaves office if this is going to continue.